What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to talk about all the different Coonhound breeds and why I think some of them lend their hand more to competition style dogs. Let's go ahead and break this down. First things first, this was a subscriber suggested video. Thank you for leaving your comment. I have no problem doing this. This is going to get to be kind of a lengthy video. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. Well, let's go ahead and get into it, man. So let's start with treating walker dogs. Okay, so why are walker dogs so good? Why are they so good and so big named in the comp world? Why are they unbeatable? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this for a minute. First, before I go into that, I wanted to start by saying there's at least 4 breeds of coonhounds that all originate from the foxhound. So at some point in time, they were all the same exact dog. But let's go ahead and start into the treeing walkers. Okay, so of the rest of the dogs on this list, treeing walkers are going to be of the biggest population. And I think this lends a huge hand to them in the comp world. Okay, so if we have just 1% of each of these breeds that are elite competition style coon dogs that will blow the doors off other dogs in the woods, the 1% of the walker dogs are going to be a lot bigger because their population is a lot bigger. So we have that working for the walker dogs. The main reason why I believe that treeing walkers are more geared for and do a lot of winning in the comp world is because they're pretty well known and well renowned to be a hotter nosed dog, right? They're known for hot noses, okay? So especially these coon hunting ones, right? So to me, each of these breeds of dogs have hot and cold noses, right? Each of these dogs have different lines that have been bred for different reasons, but I believe that within the walker dogs, a lot more of them have been bred to be this hot-nosed dog, and that lends a lot of hand in the competition world. Hotter nose, push track, a hot track really fast, get them treed, okay? So that is kind of where that ends. And then another reason here the walker dogs do so well is because we have a huge following of people that are breeding specifically for dogs that will do well in comp hunts. Okay, so you can't throw a rock in the world of the walker dogs without finding somebody that has something to do with a big comp hunting named dog, right? So, and we can say big comp hunting named dog like he's just a one-off. No, we have huge, gigantic names, really good producing dogs that are throughout the walker dogs that were bred to a lot of dogs and through a lot of good stuff, right? So there is that one huge thing right there. Okay, so this is a lot of the reasons why they flood the competition world. This is a lot of reasons why they do a lot of winning. And also we have people that are bailing on the other breeds to pick up the walker dogs and push them and do that thing, right? So we have that whole entire thing. One competitor I think is right up there with them is the blue ticks. The other one here is going to go over to like the black and tans. Black and tans are doing a lot better these days, as far as I can tell. Not being so involved in that world, so don't breathe fire down my neck if I got that a little bit wrong. But I think the blue ticks are coming in there pretty hot too. Okay, so the walker dogs have big game dogs. They have more trailing type dogs. They have cold nose dogs, but a lot of them have this hot nose stuff. A lot of them are bred specifically for comp hunting. Okay, and I think that's what has lent its hand for them. The people that push them have picked that up and bred for that specifically for a long time, and a lot of people have done that, right? And then breeding coon dog to coon dog. Okay, so I myself don't see anything wrong with that. I think that you can cause a lot of issues, especially if we're not paying attention how line bred we are. At some point, you're going to level off, and then we can build off of that. But chopping it up and mixing up these lines and doing all this kind of thing, we can end up with kind of some shoddy stuff here or there. That's just my personal opinion about it. But I think that's why walker dogs do such a good job in the comp world. Okay, so the next dog that I'm going to talk about here is going to be the blue ticks. Okay, so blue ticks are them dogs that have a couple multiple different origin stories. Okay, so the first origin story is going to be the Blue de Gascon dog. He was brought here, gave to George Washington, and this is where they originated this breed of blue ticks from. Okay, we can see in the world of the blue tick coonhounds that these Gascon dogs are definitely there, and they're definitely registered as blue ticks and not as Gascons. They have been mixed in. They have been brought in. Okay, so the other origin here is going to be from the English dogs. At some point in time, we went back and we said, we have English dogs that are throwing red and blue dogs. We can take the blue dogs and register them as blue ticks. Okay, so we have lines of blue dogs that are specifically straight from an English dog, right? So there is that too. And let's say that somebody took a English dog that threw a blue pup and registered it as a blue tick. And then we got two of these dogs and we line bred this line of blue dogs registered as blue ticks. Now are those dogs that have never been crossed into any other type of blue tick, are they English dogs or are they blue ticks, right? So this is kind of where we need to get into knowing our stuff, and it gets a lot. But them are the two kind of origins, and then we have those two kind of intermixed and intertwined, right? So we have the Gascony types and the English dog types kind of mixed together. But ultimately, blue ticks lend their hand back to the Foxhound and this blue de Gascon dog. Okay, so let's talk about the English dogs, right? So the English dogs are another dog that lends its hand directly back to the Foxhound. English Foxhound, English dog. Okay, so if we Google an English Foxhound, if we Google a Foxhound, what we are going to see is we're going to see dogs that look like English dogs, that look like blue ticks, that look like Walker dogs, right? We are going to find that. We're going to see that physically on that breed. So it's kind of like we can know where they come from. They come from these foxhounds, and these foxhounds have specific looks to them. Within each breed of the Treeing Walker, the blue tick, and the English dog, we have dogs that look more like foxhounds instead of more like coonhounds. So we have to have a kind of a standard there in our own mind what a coon dog needs to be, and they have standards wrote for that and this or that, right? So that's just kind of that. With the English dogs, they are derived off the foxhounds. They were split off from the blue ticks. That's why we have blue ticks in the foxhound world, or blue ticks in the English dog world. English dogs, blue English dogs, right? So somewhere somebody didn't separate out some, so we keep blue ticks in the Englishes. Okay, so the next one that I want to talk about here is going to be the another one that lends its hand back to foxhounds, and that is going to be a red bone. But the red bone kind of lends its hand back to the foxhounds in a different way than the first three, right? The red bones were already established as a red colored foxhound before they got brought here, and then we carried on from there. Not to mention the fact that we have other breeds of houndy dogs or other breeds of hounds that have this same red coloration. And then the red bones are limited. Okay, so the red bones and the black and tans are going to be limited in the sense of we have a color to maintain, right? We have an extra stipulation within these two breeds to maintain a color scheme on a dog, right? A solid red one and a black and tan one, right? These are the color schemes that we need to maintain on these dogs. Not to say that there's anything wrong with them as coonhounds, not saying that they're not good coon treers or anything like that. But we have an extra stipulation there on that breed. And I think that kind of diminishes them down and caps them off at some place because we don't have as much opportunity to get more variation and accept a little bit of different color variants in these dogs to get a little bit better of a coon treer. So we're stuck in these gene pools. Okay, so that's the red bones. So that is going to be the four that lend their hand directly back to the foxhounds. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's talk about the black and tan. Okay, so the black and tan is kind of the same boat as the red bone, right? We have a color variant stipulation. We cannot get different colors. We have this one color that we have to stick with. And at the end of the day, any dog that is bred to be a specific color, Rottweilers, Rottweilers, Dobermans, Min Pins, any of these dogs have this black and tan markings and this black and tan coloration. Their gene pool has got to be limited to dogs that only throw this color variant, right? But not to say that the black and tans have found their way, right? They are getting very exceptional. And one thing that I want to throw in here is that outside of the Walker dog, okay, so outside of Walkers, the rest of these breeds of coon dogs, maybe for exception of the leopard, but I haven't got to that one yet. But the rest of these coonhound breeds are more known and more tend to be cold nosy dogs, right? They're more pushed and bred for these cold nosy types, more used for and pressed for this big game style dog, right? So we have in each of these breeds, we have lines of dogs that were bred and selected for competition style hunts, were bred and were selected specifically for coon hunting. But within that, we have a lot of variation in our bloodlines for whatever reason. And I think when we talk about the Walker dogs, it's a lot less clear cut, right? So if we go and we look at, let's say, a Cameron or an Uchman versus a jet bred dog, There is a huge difference. There's a huge difference in those two dogs. I mean, it's almost clear-cut difference. We can go look at a big game walker dog and a coon hunting walker dog and be like, I can see where that translates from. And it just kind of goes on and on and on. And then within each of these breeds, okay, so like within each of these breeds, you have like these old-fashioned types. People bred for different reasons, and it weren't always just for coon hunting, and it weren't always just for competition hunting. So the next one here that I kind of want to talk about, oh yeah, the black and tan did not come from the foxhound, right? So the black and tan is a dog that did not originate from the foxhound. It originated from somewhere else, right? So not the foxhound origin. Okay, the next one I want to talk about here is the Plott hounds. Okay, so the Plott hounds, they did not originate from foxhounds either. They originated from a different dog, right? They originated from some German hound. That's what they say on Google. But you know, that's kind of what it does. It's not lending its hand back to these foxhound dogs. It's not lending its hand back to that whole idea. And again, the Plotts are more used for big game dogs, and a lot of them are used for big game and cold nose and this kind of thing. So we have all this peeling off farther and farther away from competition dogs. And then we come and then we arrive at the Catahoula, the leopard Catahoula, the leopard hound, the American leopard hound, the Louisiana leopard hound, and then we have the Catahoula curs and the leopard curs. Whatever you say, it's these merle colored dogs that tree coons, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I don't know too much about them. I do know that there's a couple reasons why I shied away from getting too involved with these Catahoula dogs. Number one is going to be the merle coloration, and number two is going to be the eye color, having two color eyes at the same time thing, right? And every single other breed of dogs out there, breeding merles to merles creates genetic issues. Different color eyes, maybe besides in cattle dogs, is going to be a breed fault. You're not supposed to breed these dogs. You're not supposed to allow this to be in the breed. And there's just like a lot stacked on top of this, right? And then we can also, on that same note, I'm not just going to say this about the leopard dogs or the Catahoula dogs, is we have like in the English dogs and in the walker dogs, people breeding for these solid white dogs, okay? So in any other breed of dog, white on white on white on white creates genetic problems, okay? So one specific example would be within the pit bull terriers, breeding white to white to white to white, have these solid white dogs, creates blindness, creates all these other genetic issues. So to me, yeah, the merle color is acceptable, but like again, in these other breeds, if we're breeding a merle color to a merle color, it creates a genetic issue, right? So there's that kind of thing. But I think I'm going to wrap that up. That's about as compact as I can get it. I could go on and on and on about all these different variations and these color variants and these build schemes and all this stuff on these dogs. What I think would be more of a coonhound type versus more of a big game type or a cold nose or whatever. But I'm not going to bore you guys to death. Just kind of give you my personal opinion about all these breeds, give you some information to kind of back it up and support that. But y'all keep them treed. If anybody went down to Autumn Oaks, man, I hope y'all got some footage. If you did, leave it down there in the comments. I'll come check you out for sure. Definitely kick myself in the butt real hard all weekend for not getting up and getting down there. And getting down there and seeing some guys, seeing some of these other YouTubing guys, and just hanging out and seeing what's going on and what that's all about. But you know what? Appreciate y'all for coming in. Appreciate all the new subscribers. Don't forget to check out Dog and Hunt. Don't forget to use the promo code at dogshow.com to get yourself a discount. Y'all keep them treed.